What's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to discuss what to do when the market is crashing, how to sell options, should you roll your position, all of that good stuff in this video. So make sure to stick around till the end. I, wanted to come on here because these are the times that mean the most in trading, right? Anyone can make large sums of money when the market is going up, right? And I'm sure some of you guys tuning into this channel know people who have maybe taken leverage on crypto or played a meme coin and have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percents. While, us option sellers, we're doing a modest 15% per month, etc., right? These are the moments that matter, right? Because those people that you're talking about that made hundreds of thousands have just lost all of it, right? Like if we're talking, Bitcoin, right? What Bitcoin's done over the last 2 days, and you see it, all these cryptos, right, down 15%, 10%, right? And we go to the stock market, and you see big red candles out of, QQQ. This isn't so bad, but it's still bad, right? If you're trading leverage and buying options, buying calls, all that stuff, right? So these are the moments that you have to remember why we do what we do, right? Because as much as we might not be seeing 100% a day, we're seeing 10 to 20% a month, and days like today where people are getting crushed, we are still surviving, right? So that's the name of the game, is survival. Now, here's the play we're in. We're in this Oracle play, which we've been talking about all week. And, we're in a little bit of a pickle here because, I do think that this can continue down, right? Like I drew this out, what could easily happen. But, there's also that glimmer of hope, hoping it'll come back up, give us a chance to either exit for profit or break even. I don't want to exit for break even, right? Because the thing I like about selling options, right, especially selling puts, is this is basically a worst case scenario, right? Earnings comes out and it dumps. There's two reasons why it's bad. One is because the premiums aren't going to be good if we want to roll this position, right? Because I've seen people comment saying we can roll, but there's not really a great option for rolling, right? Like, all right, I can roll this here and I'm going to lose $700. I'd rather just hold the position, collect my premium, and then have to sell it where, it's at, right? Or hold it, collect my premium, hold the stock, run covered calls the next week if it looks like it's reversing, or hold it, let it run back up to 182, then sell covered calls, right? But in the position of rolling, it wouldn't make sense to roll this, right, to really any of these, because I could just close the position, right? Like, what would be the sense in rolling it out and losing 700 when I can literally just close it right now and lose 300, right? So to people who commented saying I can just roll this position and I need to learn that, I already knew it. I just don't think it makes sense in this moment. I think rolling really only makes sense when you're doing covered calls, because if something's shooting up and, you don't want to have to sell and it's going to go up another 10%, right? Like if we look at a stock like, Tesla, right? It would be tough to have sold covered calls on Tesla when it's shooting this fast, right? At that point, you have to be okay with just taking your wins, right? Taking your small wins, riding it up, but not getting all of this. Now, this would be the case of rolling, right? Because it's like, it's up 60% in, a month. It would be very hard. It wouldn't be possible to do 60% per month selling covered calls, right? So what you probably would have wanted to do is just roll it or not sell covered calls, and then, maybe moments like these, are where you would consider selling covered calls. Or you could have just tried to sell cash secured puts the whole way up. Again, it would be hard, unless you had an account size that was growing and big enough, right? Because if you had 20, like think about it, right? You were able to sell cash secured puts with 15K here, and just like that, you can't sell cash secured puts with really less than 35K, right? So if you have the capital, you could have sold cash secured puts that whole way up. And again, it wouldn't be as good as just holding, right? And that's where selling options is tricky, is because if a market or a stock is really flying, then, you are better off just holding the stock, right? But if you're in this game with not really that mentality, right? If you're in this game with more of a cash flow, consistent cash flow mentality, which is what I think you should be, right? Like if you're watching this channel, it's because you want to get cash flow in the market, right? This isn't about holding a stock to the moon. Like, and I'm not saying not to do that as well, but it should be in a separate portfolio, right? It should be in a separate frame of mind completely. So that's basically where we're at with everything, right? Our thought process, our strategy, and of course our current position is just, you know, we're just really hoping that something good happens. And if it doesn't happen, then we're going to have to manage it, because I do believe, the stock has the ability to hold, right? And if it holds, then theta is going to, it's going to do us some favors, right, by tomorrow. So, right now, it's definitely a tough situation. It's hard for me to put it into words. Like, all I can say is, this is the worst thing that happens with selling options, right? Is this type of move. Because if it would have flew up, right, then we would have been able to collect our full amount today and been fully into another position by tomorrow or by today. And that's important because in selling options, you make money over time, right? As time progresses, your option is supposed to gain value. And that's the beauty of it, right? You notice if you look at options from weeks ago, they're almost always more expensive than they are now, right? Or better yet, if you go into the future, right, and pull up options that are, all right, ready? Like 175 expiring today or 3 days, and then 175 expiring in 10 days, right? It's always going to go up in price. And that's because as time progresses, the option loses value. Now, that's important to note because in the case like this, where we sold puts and the puts dumped, right, it says we're down 350, right? But that's only because that's the difference between $7.55 and $4.05. But assuming this doesn't trend down, this option will lose value tomorrow. Now, assuming it, starts going back up, it'll lose value very quickly. Now, the only reason why it might not lose so much value is because we're in the money, right? Once they're in the money, they hold value even better. But if there's any sign of reversal, we're going to get a chance to either exit for profit or exit for some sort of smaller loss. Right now, like I said, it's definitely just a tough situation in general because the whole market's down. So it's like if I was to close this position, is there better plays when I'm already? Because think about it, right? I don't just collect the 405. I get this 270 back, assuming it all works out. If it doesn't, then I would just collect the 405 and be down whatever the difference is between 182.5 and 175, right? So, in a lot of ways, there isn't a better thing for me to do than just wait, give it at least another day. But of course, if I do that, there's a possibility that it does continue down, and then for me to exit, I have to take a bigger loss. So, listen, these are the thought processes we go through. It's not the end of the world, right? The account is still in great standing. We completely broke our goals. Like, we were trying to get 10% in the first month, we got 20. And I'm not even saying that gives us breathing room because that's not really what I'm looking for. But in the end of the day, like, I'm not getting upset about it because we're still doing great. And we knew something like this was going to happen eventually. So I hope you guys learned a lot from this video, how to handle, selling options when the market is down, when the trade is down. And, just continue to check in and I will continue to update you guys.